I didn't want a dog. I made that clear when my sister Karen called me up out of the blue one Friday evening. "Elliot, you're going to love her," she insisted. "She's so sweet, rescued from—" I tuned out after that. Karen's always been the animal lover in the family, the one who brings home stray cats or nurses an injured bird back to health. Me? I could barely keep a houseplant alive, let alone a living, breathing creature. Still, Karen had a way of wearing me down. By the end of the call, I found myself agreeing to just meet the dog. The next day, Karen showed up at my door with a scruffy-looking mutt on a leash. The dog was smaller than I'd expected, maybe 20 pounds, with wiry black fur and big soulful brown eyes. She had a white patch on her chest and one ear that flopped down while the other stood straight up. Despite myself, I had to admit she was kind of cute. "Her name's Sadie," Karen said, handing me the leash. "And before you say anything, yes, she's staying with you, just for a little while." "Karen, Just try it," she interrupted, her eyes pleading. "Please, she needs someone right now. You need someone too." That last part stung. Karen had a knack for cutting straight to the truth. My life had felt empty since the breakup with Lauren 6 months earlier. I'd been drifting, spending too much time alone wallowing. Maybe she was right. Maybe Sadie was exactly what I needed. Reluctantly, I let the dog into my apartment. At first, Sadie kept her distance, sniffing cautiously at the furniture before curling up on the far end of the couch. She didn't bark, didn't beg for attention. She just existed. It was almost like she was trying not to be noticed. Over the next few days, I started to adjust to having her around. I'd take her out for walks in the morning and evening, feed her, and even toss a tennis ball for her in the small park near my building. She was well-behaved, quiet, and surprisingly smart. She learned quickly which corners we always turned on our walks and would glance back at me as if to ask, "Are we going the right way?" But there was something off about her. At first, I couldn't put my finger on it. It wasn't anything obvious. She didn't growl or snap or make a mess. It was just a feeling I got when I looked at her too long, like she was watching me out of the corner of her eye, even when her head was turned. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night and see her sitting at the foot of my bed, staring at me. Not in a menacing way, but it was unsettling nonetheless. Then the dreams started. I've never been one to remember my dreams, but these were different. They were vivid, almost hyper-real. In the dreams, I was running through a dense forest. The trees were gnarled and ancient, their twisted branches forming a canopy that blocked out the sky. Something was chasing me. I couldn't see it, but I could hear its heavy breathing, feel the ground tremble under its weight. No matter how fast I ran, it was always right behind me. Each time I woke up, drenched in sweat, Sadie would be there, sitting silently at the foot of the bed, her dark eyes fixed on mine. By the second week, the strange occurrences started. Little things at first. Objects in my apartment weren't where I'd left them. My keys, always on the hook by the door, would turn up on the kitchen counter. The TV remote disappeared for 2 days, only to reappear on the coffee table where I'd already looked a dozen times. And then there were the noises. At night, I'd hear scratching sounds coming from the walls. I thought it might be mice, but the building was relatively new and had never had a pest problem before. Sadie would perk up at the sound, her ears twitching, but she never barked or growled. She'd just stare at the wall, unblinking, until the scratching stopped. One night, I woke up to find the bedroom door ajar. I always closed it before bed, but now it was open just a crack. Sadie was gone. Heart pounding, I got up to search for her. I found her in the living room, standing perfectly still in the middle of the floor. Her head was tilted to one side, and she was staring at the front door. When I called her name, she turned to look at me, her eyes reflecting the faint light from the street lamp outside. For a moment, I thought I saw something in her expression, something almost human, but then she blinked, and the moment passed. I told Karen about the strange things happening, but she just laughed it off. "You're overthinking it," she said. "Dogs can be weird sometimes. Sadie's probably still adjusting to her new home." I wanted to believe her, but the uneasy feeling in my gut wouldn't go away. I started to dread going to sleep, afraid of the dreams and what they might mean. I was exhausted all the time, jumpy, paranoid. Even at work, I couldn't focus. My coworkers noticed, but I couldn't bring myself to explain. What could I say? My sister gave me a haunted dog. The breaking point came one night when I woke up to a loud crash. I bolted upright in bed, my heart racing. Sadie wasn't at the foot of the bed. The noise had come from the living room. Grabbing the baseball bat I kept under my bed, I crept out of the bedroom. My palms slick with sweat. The living room was dark, but I could make out the shape of Sadie standing by a coffee table. The table was overturned, its contents scattered across the floor. Sadie's back was to me, her body rigid. She was growling, low and guttural, a sound I'd never heard from her before. "Sadie?" I whispered. She didn't respond. Slowly, she turned her head to look at me. Her eyes, they weren't right. They seemed larger somehow, and they glowed faintly in the darkness, like embers. Her lips curled back, revealing sharp, gleaming teeth. I took a step back, my breath hitching. "Sadie, what's wrong?" She took a step toward me, her growl deepening. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end. This wasn't my dog. This was something else, something ancient and malevolent wearing her skin. In a panic, I swung the bat, not to hit her but to keep her at bay. She darted to the side with inhuman speed, her movements jerky and unnatural. Then she lunged. I don't remember much after that. Just flashes, the bat connecting with something solid, a high-pitched yelp, the sensation of cold air as I ran out the front door, barefoot and trembling. I ended up spending the rest of the night in my car, parked 3 blocks away. I couldn't bring myself to go back to the apartment until morning. When I finally returned, the apartment was eerily quiet. The overturned coffee table had been righted, the scattered objects neatly arranged. It was as if nothing had happened. Sadie was gone. No leash, no food bowl, no trace of her at all. Even Karen couldn't explain it. "I don't know what to tell you," she said when I called her in a panic. "I haven't seen Sadie since I dropped her off. Are you sure you didn't dream all of this?" I wish I could believe that. But every night since then, I've heard the scratching in the walls. And every time I close my eyes, I'm back in that forest, running from something I can't see but can feel. Something with glowing eyes and sharp teeth. Something that's still out there, watching, waiting. And I know it's only a matter of time before it comes back for me,